Blue Beetle, the latest film from DC, is doing absolutely horrible right now at the box office, and I can't say that I'm surprised. The marketing for this film was so bad that I didn't even know that it was coming out until a week ago. Combine that with the fact that this movie is about an extremely unknown character, and it's coming off the back of the absolute disaster which was The Flash. Yeah, it's no surprise that this was the worst performing DC movie in years. But just because it's doing poorly at making DC money, doesn't mean that the movie itself is necessarily bad. So is Blue Beetle worth your time, and would I recommend you go see it? Well, that really depends on whether or not you're willing to spend $15 on a painfully average movie or not. So Blue Beetle is a character that I've never heard of myself, and I immediately felt like he was a mix between Spider-Man and Iron Man. So for that reason, he felt kind of unique, but also not at the same time, if that makes any sense. It was fun watching his fight scenes and him discovering all his powers, but the fact that he can just will anything that he can think of into existence was a little too convenient for my liking. But anyways, the whole premise of the story is that there's this Blue Beetle thing from space, and it holds a lot of power inside of it to be harnessed. There's this old rich lady that really wants to turn this power into an army of big robot soldier things. And why does she want to do this? Well, I really don't know. But even though the Blue Beetle is being sought out by dark forces, it chooses Jaime as its host, who will serve as our main character for the story. And I wasn't really the biggest fan of Jaime's character. He's a little too soft and gentle for my liking, and I don't like it when superheroes really don't have to put in any work to become the superhero, it just falls upon them. That's one of the reasons why I like Batman so much. He dealt with a lot of trauma growing up, and that trauma is the reason he became Batman. But in the case of Jaime, he became Blue Beetle the same way that Peter Parker became Spider-Man. Dumb luck. I won't go too in-depth into the story because it's still fresh in theaters, but the main problem I have with this film is it is incredibly generic. The protagonist-antagonist dynamic is way too straightforward, the love story feels incredibly cliche, and extremely unrealistic, and every single obstacle that Jaime ever has to face throughout the film is extremely cookie-cutter, and these things really start to add up. The action scenes I thought were pretty decent in sections. I know that a lot of people only really go to these movies for the action sequences, so if that's you, then I think that you'll be fairly satisfied with it. I think that the action does feel a little bit sluggish at times, but really starts to pick up its pace a lot in time for the final battle. But besides that, there's nothing really I can say that stood out to me as being that good. Overall, I didn't think that Blue Beetle was that bad. It definitely wasn't great though, but I did enjoy myself during parts of it. I think that the biggest problem with Blue Beetle is that it doesn't really feel unique in any way by today's standards. If this film would have came out 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, I think a lot more people would have gone to see it. But in today's movie marketplace, where superhero films are so oversaturated, I don't really blame people for not being that interested because there's nothing strong enough that's going to draw people in and go to see this film over any other superhero film. Which is why the producers leaned into the identity politics so much while marketing this film, and made sure that everybody knew that this was the first Latino-led DC film, because they were so desperate to attract attention, and in their minds, that was the only angle that they could play. And shockingly, just like all other attempts to implement identity politics into your marketing strategy, it fell directly on their face. Well, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. If you made it this far and you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and leave a like and hit that subscribe button. If you want to be notified when I post my next video, turn on that notification bell. But anyways, that's all I got for today. I'll see you next time.